from the Forbidden Blender.
He led the man with the thin hat to the barren living room. With no chairs available, they sat awkwardly on the floor. The man with the thin hat crossing his legs, the other man with knees bent, arms hugging them. The man with the thin hat's eyes scanned the blank walls, darting the length of the room with surprising speed. Then they fell on the other man. They settled on his upper arm. The words G-E-N were seen in dark, fading print etched into the other man's upper arm. "You like it?" The man with the thin hat's face betrayed nothing. The other man continued. "It's short for Genesius. Not a name you hear much, is it? Patron saint of actors. Got it when I first came out here. Didn't have the cash for that many letters, but I figured I'd know what it meant, and if anything else, it'd be a conversation piece. Been meaning to get it removed. I haven't been to Mass in years, and in case this decked-out palace was a clue, Genesius hasn't passed on any of my requests to his supervisor." "So, you said you were part of a mission or church outreach program? Sorry to burst your bubble, but if you're looking for a donation, I'm tapped out. LA is just as much of a meat grinder as I thought it'd be. I'll probably head back to Jersey soon, so if you're looking to take over my lease, I can help you out. If not, I put some coffee on before you came, so we can kill a few hours. You like movies?" The man with the thin hat smiled. "You do like to talk, don't you?" The other man looked embarrassed. "Sorry, nervous habit." "No need to apologize. Quite the reverse. You are owed an apology from me. I seem to have given you the wrong impression. I have no need of your checkbook. I also don't think our exchange should last so long as to require caffeinated assistance." The other man looked puzzled. "Oh, okay. So, what do you need?" The man with the thin hat picked up his briefcase and laid it onto the carpeted floor with the handle facing towards himself. "I have a proposition for you." The man with the thin hat lifted the clasps with a satisfying click and opened the briefcase. He then swiveled the open case to face the other man and slid it gracefully across the carpet. It made contact, lightly tapping the tips of the other man's toes. The other man looked inside the case, then back at the man with the thin hat. I don't get it." "An extremely small percentage do, at least at first glance." The other man stared back into the case. Nestled amid beautiful silk lining was a small, wooden crucifix. "I thought you said you weren't part of a church." The man with the thin hat cut him off. "Correct. I'm not." "Well, it's very pretty, but church or not, or whoever you're with, I don't have the money. I'm sorry. This was definitely the weirdest out of all the sales pitches I've been given, but I'm gonna have to say goodnight." "No coffee?" The strange edge to the man with the thin hat's voice made the other man uneasy. "No. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude, but I'm gonna have to ask you to leave." "And if I don't?" The other man's mind flew to the metal baseball bat he'd bought ages ago when break-ins started in the neighborhood. "Well, that's fine. Let me go grab that coffee." The other man had no sooner gotten to his feet and started to make his way to his bedroom that his entire body was slammed up against the blank wall of his living room. Little silver bugs danced across his vision as he coughed and desperately tried to inhale. Once he was able to refocus his vision, he saw that he was suspended a few feet off the ground, held up by the rail-thin arm of the man with the thin hat, gripping his throat. "No, I think we'll be just fine without coffee." The man with the thin hat effortlessly lifted the other man away from the wall and unceremoniously dropped him back into his previous seat on the drab carpet. The other man pushed himself out of his feral four-legged position to sit, staring at the man with the thin hat. "Whatever you want, just take it. I've got $50 under my mattress. It's all I have. Just take it and go. I won't talk to the cops." The man with the thin hat spoke over the wheezing. "You arrived at surrender quicker than most. A mark of the wise or the cowardly. Whichever make of man you may be, I hold you in neither esteem or disgust. But I do hold you, here, until our business has reached its conclusion." The other man's fear was a shining neon sign over his head. "What do you want?" "I want excitement. I want entertainment." These words have been bandied about so often they have all but lost their meaning. For a time, I killed indiscriminately. And I was excited. I was entertained. But that, like all things, grew old. Then I killed only the strongest. That was both exciting and entertaining, but drew far too much attention. Then, a bunch of strange Jews in a desert stuck a stranger Jew high up on a tree. Exciting, entertaining, if a bit odd. But to my wonder, that strange Jew up on the tree had fans. Quite a few fans. And fans do love their memorabilia. All these tiny little trees with tiny little Jews on them, popping up everywhere. First time for me was a little girl. Weak, easily led away. I was almost on autopilot when she pulled that little trinket out. Pain. It had been so long since I felt it, I laughed. But the little one wasn't laughing. The more I looked at it, the worse it got. I barely made it out. Unfortunately for me, that was one of those moments in a child's life where you tell just about everyone. It was more exciting than ever. There was a challenge now. Turns out that strange little Jew started something. His fans grew and grew and grew. Daily mass, basilicas, crusades. Faith given form. Eventually, it stopped being a challenge and started being irritation. I could scrape by with the occasional drunk or unsuspecting cripple, but once you've been to the top of the mountain, you will never be satisfied languishing at the base. Centuries crawled by. I was about to throw in the towel and finally see what all the fuss was about this sunrise when things changed. I was being hunted, you see. Peculiar being on the other end. Things were not looking so great. This giant of a man bearing down on me, sharpened stake in his hand, prepared for his coup de grace. He pulled out his trinket, larger than the girl's. But the pain never came. I took the opportunity presented and tore out his throat, helping myself. Being hunted was thirsty work. Honestly, I thought it was a fluke, but it began happening more and more. Seems like that strange little Jew had fallen out of favor. His merchandise was still there, dug into the landscape and the people like a tick, but there was nothing behind it, just empty repetition and comfort. Something pretty to look at. I was thrilled at first, back to the old days. But a few 100 years of everything going exactly the way you want it to is hardly exciting or entertaining. And that brings us to where we are. The other man's wide eyes grew wider still as the man with the thin hat's mouth opened to reveal enormous fangs. What are you gonna do then? Just get it over with. Oh, that's not fun at all. We're gonna have you take that little thing. You're gonna hold it up. I'm gonna see that tiny spark of hope die in your eyes. And then I'll do what I do. Tears started streaming down the other man's face. There's so much I haven't done yet. I haven't seen my sister's baby girl. I haven't made it yet. I just need the right break, and I get it. I know I will. I know. The other man was silenced by the thin finger of the man with the thin hat on his lips. It felt like ice. The sooner you do as you're told, the sooner you can be away from this. He gestured around the room. Stillborn dream. Now, be a good boy. Fear gave way to resignation. The other man slowly picked up the crucifix, held it to eye level, stared at the man in the thin hat smiling, closed his eyes, and thrust it forward. After a few seconds, he opened his eyes. The man with the thin hat sitting across from him was, if possible, paler than before. The carpet was tearing from the grip of the man with the thin hat as he sat there, immobilized. The man with the thin hat managed to speak through gritted fangs. Well, this complicates things. The other man found his feet and stood up. Not taking his eyes or the crucifix off the man with the thin hat, he reached into his pocket and tapped his cell. The weather app was still up. Sunrise, 6:10 a.m., it read. He glanced at the time at the top of his screen, 2:50 a.m. He quickly glanced around the room at all the bare windows, blinds, and curtains sold. The two men stared at each other. What the hell happened last night, actor boy? AC unit, Miss Strassman, it's on the fritz again. You want me to call the super? He still owes me from when I hit his blow that one night he almost got busted in 76. Thanks, Miss Strassman, but I'll be alright. Just gotta take a shower. You should. You look terrible. By the way, Miss Strassman, do you know where I can find a good steam cleaner? I can make some calls. The older woman walked inside to look for long-forgotten numbers written down somewhere in all her clutter, Stanley fluttering close behind. The younger man outside waited patiently, covered from head to toe in dark, thick dust.